All right, it looks like it's 7. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It's 7 o'clock sharp, at least. Let's do roll call first. Nancy Rosso.
Here.
Becky Beasley.
Yes.
Kim Armstrong.
Here.
John Smith.
Yes.
Holly Naylor.
Here.
Janine Gillespie. Present. Could stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Both those first. Next would be the approval of the agenda. I would like to make an amendment to the agenda. If we could add item E as in Edward under discussion decision, challenge book process and procedures.
Should it be item A? Sure, come on.
It should be H.
H. Sorry. I would be H.
And what are you calling
Challenge book process procedure. That didn't get added. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the agenda?
Agenda?
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to, that was unanimous. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion made to approve consent agenda. Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Motion passes. On to Sarah. Library director.
Great, because we've got such a packed agenda, I am not going to belabor the report. I'm going to move right through it unless there are any questions for the written report. The next thing on the agenda is the presentation of the annual report, which was in the lobby. I handed it to a few of the people in the audience, in the public. So our annual report, it comes out a little, what feels late, but it is for the last fiscal year that was closed in June. We wait until our audit is done and our auditor is the next thing on the agenda. But I'd just like to point out all the statistics and great things that happened last year. The note from me on the cover talks about the next thing on the agenda, which is the plan for the outdoor space and the things that we're working on as a library to further our mission and vision. And the back page talks about the financial donations and the status of the finances. So we are required for policy to put out an annual report every year. And we used to mail these. We don't mail them anymore. So I like to have people see them. They are on the website. On our website under the About, there is a tab that says annual reports and strategic plan. And when you click on that, there it is. There's me. So it's the same thing that's in your hand. It's basically a lot of pictures. The nice thing to know is it goes over a lot of things that we did, statistics that we gather out here about our the number of people using our facilities, the number of things that are checked out. I really like the call outs about 18% up of the number of people that came through our doors. So we are seeing an increase in usage. The number of active card holders went up again, 8%, 8.5% from the year before. A good number, a benchmark for libraries is 30%. So the fact that we have a 31% is really good, that 31% of our people are using our library. Well, have cards. So you can have a card and not come in and still use the resources. So I'm really proud of that number. And this is the back page. We have strong donors from a very small number of people. Like you'll notice a lot of people in this room are on this page. Most of our revenue, as you know, is from taxes. We'll be going over this with the auditor, and most of our revenue is spent on personnel, materials, facilities, things like this. So it's an easy thing to sweep through and think, of course, but it's really, it's an easy thing to be proud of as the leader of this library. And I just wanted to point it out. When I interviewed here 3 years ago, they said, pretend it's October 2025 and tell us how you would present the annual report. And, you know, I had to make stuff up about what I would say. But I said I would do a strategic plan. I would improve the spaces. And I said spaces, I didn't know it would be the building or whatever. And I'd work on the history, Hartland's history, because history is always important. It's not in the document, but the thing we did this summer with the reading history and the thing we're going to do next year, for the 100th anniversary, I think we're really well positioned to do. So I'm quite proud of what the staff have been able to accomplish. And with that, I submit the annual report.
It's very well done.
Thanks.
Very nice. Yeah.
And from there, if you keep going down way at the bottom of the page, buried beneath all of this, is the strategic plan document. This is a big page of things. And then we have our budget and our audit. It's a tiny little link at the bottom, but this is the audit for the year, which is also posted on the state website. And with that, I will introduce our auditor, Ivy Tomlinson, sorry. Ivy is from Manor Costarison, who is a firm. I'll let you talk about yourself, but
Sure. Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for having me. Again, my name is Ivy Tomlinson from Manor Costarison. We're a CPA firm out of Lansing, and I've had the privilege of working on Cromaine's library since before Sarah. I think going back to maybe 2009 when I first started. So again, here to present the report on financial statements for the year ended June 30, 2025. So all of the board members should have a copy of the audit report as well as the final board communication letter that was issued in conjunction with the audit. So my plan is just to highlight some of the pertinent financial information. I won't go through every page in significant detail, but before I get started, a huge thank you to Sarah and to Darlene for all of their help. I think we've got kind of our processes and our procedures down to a well-oiled machine. So everything went very smooth again for the audit for 2025. So with that, we'll start with the bound copy of the financial statements, and we'll start on page 1, which is titled the Independent Auditor's Report. So these first couple of pages just describe what the purpose of an audit is, and that is for us as your auditors to issue an opinion on the fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. An audit is not designed to detect fraud, nor do we issue an opinion on the internal controls of the library. But that being said, a very significant component of our audit procedures details going through and documenting all of the different processes, procedures, and internal controls that are in place at the library. So we look at everything from how bank reconciliations are done, how payroll is run, how your deposits are made, if you had any credit card transactions, how your invoices are paid, and then we'll select a sample of all of those types of transactions throughout the fiscal year and walk them through those steps. If we had any findings or recommendations that we felt needed to be communicated to the board, we would have issued those in a separate management letter. For 2025, we had no such findings, no recommendations, so there is no letter issued with the 2025 audit. And so really the most important paragraph is right at the top under that opinions paragraph. The library is receiving an unmodified or a clean opinion. That is the best that you can attain. So it's what you as a board wants to see, and it's also what the state of Michigan looks for once your financials are uploaded to Treasury's website. If there's no questions on that, I'll briefly touch on pages 9 and 10. So these first two statements are the library's government-wide financial statements, which are presented on the full accrual level of accounting. And what that simply means is that it not only encompasses the general fund, which is the library's sole operating funds activity, but it also includes the long-term activity for the library. So your capital assets, and then your current and non-current component of your compensated absences. Those components are not reported at the fund level, but I just wanted to point out the difference between these first two pages and then the statements that we'll get into a little bit more detail on. So we can go to page 11, Sarah. So page 11 is the governmental fund balance sheet, again, for the library's sole operating general fund. And how I like to describe this statement is that it's really as of a picture in time. So as of June 30, 2025, we had total assets or financial resources of just over $5.4 million compared to your total liabilities or financial obligations of just over $120,000. So one thing that we look at is the ratio of your total assets to total liabilities. And we can see that if the library were to have closed its doors as of June 30, ceased operations, you would not have had any issues paying those liabilities with the assets that you have on hand. And then additionally, when we look at the breakdown of your assets, about 99% is made up of cash and investments. So you're also very liquid. So we don't have a lot of things tied up in accounts receivable or inventory, anything of that nature. Then the last component to look at is the breakdown of your fund balance. So the library has 3 different categories applicable for 2025. The first is that non-spendable amount, which is equal to your prepaid expenditures, because we know that those expenses are going to happen subsequent to the fiscal year. They are not available to be spent down in future periods. Then we have about $2.8 million that are assigned in various fund balance categories. And I'll go over those. There's a footnote to the financial statements that breaks down all of those different assignments, resulting in our unassigned fund balance of about $2.3 million at June 30, 2025. What that amount in unassigned fund balance represents is the equity that you have today to cover expenditures in future periods. So in any given year that your revenues do not exceed your expenditures, that unassigned fund balance is that cushion that's going to absorb that loss. And kind of a good rule of thumb or recommendation from the state of Michigan is to have an amount in unassigned fund balance that is between 15 and 20% of your annual operating expenditures. What that would represent is if the library ran into any collection issues, so your property tax payments were delayed, let's say, you would still be able to run for a period of time paying your normal expenditures. So you would still be able to pay your employees, keep your lights on, all of those general operating activities. And for 2025, that $2.3 million represents 92.7% of your annual operating expenditures. And just for a comparison, your prior year, that percentage was just short of 111%. So exceeding that recommended threshold. I don't suggest in any way, shape, or form that you run out and you spend that down to reach that 15 or 20%, but the board definitely has some more flexibility in that you can take a pretty significant chunk of that and maybe assign it for additional future projects like what you're talking about later tonight. So really from a balance sheet, very healthy overall. I'm gonna talk about the income statement at the very end. So for those that have a copy of the audit, the notes to your financial statements start on page 15. And I won't go over all of those in significant detail, but a couple that I will touch on is on page 24, Sarah. Note number 7 is the details of that fund balance breakdown. Yep, right there at the bottom. So of your total fund balance, this is just the detail from your balance sheet. So again, $46,000 in prepaids. And then we have our various fund balance assignments. So to programs, capital improvements, the Organ Hall fundraiser, and then again, that amount in unassigned. So should you decide as a board to make an amendment to assign additional fund balance, that would be also reflected in this statement. If we go to the next page, Sarah, on page 25, there's a couple of new accounting pronouncements that came out in 25. So note number 8 just details the 2 changes in accounting principles that were effective for the 2025 audit. We implemented GASB number 101 regarding compensated absences, as well as number 102 for certain risk disclosures. There was no material impact on the adoption of the statement. So this is essentially saying that, yes, we've done our due diligence, we've examined, but however, there were no changes to the financial statements themselves. So this will come off during your 2026 audit. And then note 9, which is your last note disclosure, this just outlays the upcoming accounting pronouncements that are applicable for your current fiscal year. So as we get closer to June 30, 2026, we'll again examine these and see if there is anything that's going to change the financials, or if it will be similar to the note preceding this, that there is no changes. Then the last statement to look at is on page 28. This is the library's budgetary comparison schedule. So this outlays the original budget as adopted by the board, followed by your final budget. So after any and all budget amendments are made throughout the fiscal year, and then we compare that to our actual revenues and expenditures for the period under audit. Just some high level analytics. We had total revenues, just under about $2.95 million, excuse me. That was about $288,000 more than what you had anticipated receiving. And you can see that the bulk of that comes from your property taxes. So of that total, $2.5 million is property tax related. And just for a comparison from where you were at a year ago, we had total revenues of about $2.7 million in 2024. So we saw an increase of about $202,000. And again, where we saw that increase was in the property tax category. So as property tax values rise, so does the amount of revenue that is being remitted to the library. We're seeing, unfortunately, our intergovernmental state aid penal fines are pretty flat. They're not fluctuating much anymore from the state of Michigan. Then we had total expenditures of about $2.5 million. That was about $519,000 less than what we had anticipated spending. And you can see that the bulk of that comes from your salaries and fringe benefits, and then also in your capital outlay and library materials. That is where we would anticipate seeing the bulk of the library's expenditures being reported. As a service-based entity, the bulk of it is paying your employees to run the operations for the library, and then also for all of the collection amounts that are purchased every year. So the results of operations for the year was an increase to fund balance of about $373,000, taking you from $4.9 million at the beginning of the fiscal year to that total of $5.3 million at the end of the fiscal year. And just for some context, over the last 3 fiscal years, the library has added about $1.4 million to your fund balance. And in discussions with Sarah, that's, been very diligent about where you're choosing to spend your money, being very conservative so you can accomplish some of these larger programs and different capital improvement projects in the future. So really no significant changes from the prior year, very healthy overall. The last item to discuss is that final board communication letter. I'm not sure if that's up here or not, Sarah,
It's not up.
that's not,
in front of
no,
us.
that's not a one. So that final board communication letter that is distributed to the board members, that is just a standard boilerplate letter that we are required to disclose at the conclusion of the audit. A couple of things that it discloses. Number one is the significant estimates that go into drafting the financial statements. So for example, depreciation expense is based on an estimate of all of the library's useful lives of your assets. And then if we had any material journal entries that we noted as we were auditing your balance sheet, those would also be disclosed. Again, we didn't have any findings, no material journal entries, so there was no management letter for 2025. So that was everything that I had, but I am more than happy to answer any questions.
Just a couple questions that came up at our finance meeting. There was a sentence on page 2 of that letter that just says, we have requested certain representations from management that are included in the management representation letter dated October 13, 2025. This letter is dated the same day.
The same day, yes.
So I don't know what you're referring to.
So the management rep letter is a document that we send separately to Sarah that she has to sign and return to us. That's what allows us to finalize and release the audit to the board. It's essentially her saying that the library is taking responsibility for the financial statements. Even though we prepare them and, print them, they do belong to you. And so that's what that representation letter discloses.
Just one other question, because in the same correspondence, it says we were to have gotten a correspondence dated August 15th of 25. We never got that.
That's the preliminary board communication letter that went out prior to when we started the audit.
Yeah, I don't think we received that.
It should have been directly sent out.
Yeah, we might have missed it.
Okay, I can go back.
Did you get something?
But maybe they didn't go to ask them.
Yeah.
It should have, if
Okay,
it didn't,
sorry.
I can send that to you when I get back to the office.
Okay.
That again is just another standard boilerplate letter that goes to the board at the beginning of the audit. And it essentially discloses what the timeline of when we're going to start the audit procedures and then when you should anticipate receiving your final report.
Thanks. Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to make a comment on the favorable audit results and the fact that there's no findings or recommendations is to commend Sarah and her staff on the diligence, the controls in place, the fiduciary responsibility. So Sarah, to you and your staff, thank you for having such a positive audit. So thank you.
And Darlene. Right?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, sorry, Darren, you too.
Any other questions?
I have no question.
Thank you, Ellie, that was helpful.
Thank you for having me.
Wow.
Next on the agenda would be Sue Grissom.
Or do you start with the agenda or?
You've got copies of the agenda, so I'm trying to think of the best way to also to start. So first off, we're on the home stretch. So I looked back and I thought what we could do is maybe just kind of refresh our mind where I last left you back in January is when we did kind of our preliminary plan, just take you through kind of the process where we're at. And now today is, we're trying to, get our drawings ready to send them out for bid at the end of November, beginning of December, with our goal of construction next spring. But in doing that, we started out with preliminary ideas, now we're trying to finalize things, so I just wanted to go kind of high level, get some decisions from you guys on some, you know, of the items that we've incurred along the way to make sure we're all solid. So I thought, Sarah, maybe the thing to do is we hit, it was like the landscape plan or one of the attachments, just to kind of recollect where we began back in January. And I'm so glad to follow that financial report. I'm like, oh yeah.
I planned for it to put you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway, so this was our plan back in January where we talked about the lawn, bringing shade, seating, our pavilion, our pavers, all of it. And then with that, what we did, and then, next, Sarah, because we've got a lot to cover. If you looked in your packet, there's a lot of pages, you're probably like, what? We're gonna go high level. If you know, Sarah, if you don't mind, there's another one that's called like the DD packet. But I want to show where we began and now we moved to the next level. Let's see, right there, design development, yep. So this was also part of our plan where we said, you know, pick a fence out front, you know, kind of left, and then that next fence in the middle is a screen fence that that way that our utilities are, where it's chain link with the. So we're gonna, you know, improve it with that. We talked about some seating and tables and then movable kind of furniture. Yeah. And then the plantings are pretty much staying with the scheme we talked about before, where we have flowering plantings, hydrangeas, some ground cover, some trees. Just trying to show you, we've kind of stuck with the big ideas. And that pavilion, which we're gonna talk about a little more in detail, because that was something that people liked this look. It was double, you know, double roof, and we felt it really represented the building, you know. And so we've taken that to the next level as well. And then brick piers, we, in fact, today, Sarah and I were out there with samples of, you know, looking again. We had a couple samples of your face brick for your building. Belden built, you know, has it. We took samples out to see if our piers could have the same brick. With that, and then, on the bottom right was talking about the pavers. Got samples of pavers, and after I saw you, Sarah, out there, all those pavers up the hill again, where you got your inscripted donor pavers, it's kind of got the same color going here as well. So that's, you know, kind of the next step. So with that, I thought, before we show all those pages that were in your packet, I could just tell you about what happened after the preliminary plan. You could see kind of, we did a homework. So, you know, to kind of treading lightly, when we did the preliminary plan, we didn't have a survey. We had an aerial photo. We came out here and measured stuff to the level that we felt confident when we did that plan, that it was realistic. As soon as everybody said, like it, let's go. The first thing we did is we got a survey done. So you guys invested in that. And what does the survey do? It shows you all the surface treatments. It shows what's below ground, utilities, all of that, so that when we start doing our drawings, it's not like the contractor starts digging and he's like, what the heck? So we did the survey. Then we had a couple meetings, maybe you know this, but I'm just kind of refreshing your mind, with the township. Because we wanted to make sure whatever we do, the township would receive it instead of getting all the plans done, and they're like, what the heck? So we had a conceptual, which brought that plan that we just looked at to them and said, is this all good? And they said, absolutely, it's fine, and we had a great meeting there. But then what we had to do then was then take that plan, start finessing it, and put in just a lot of information that the township needed to see that we would show met all the rules. While we were doing that, we got comments from the township, and the real raised one, and then you guys have heard of that, but we learned our storm water, our water that's drained from the site currently, old school, all goes down to the swamp and to the wetlands. And now that we're touching the site, they're like, no more, you know, if you're going to be adding new walks and things, that storm water can't just continue to drain down into the wetlands without either being really treated or keeping on site. So we spent money testing your soil, which, lucky us, it's like pure sand. And so we could take our stormwater, any of the new storm, you know, and put it into the site. That was more money. We also found out where are the limits of the wetlands. Could we put the water into the wetlands and treat it? But the wetlands, like wetlands say, nothing's going down in the muck. So what we had to learn was, and we had our civil engineer work with Livingston County Drain Commission to say, okay, we know that, you know, we have some options here. What do y'all think about this idea? We've tested the soil, it can take this, the water is gonna, almost too fast. Can we do this? They had great talks and they basically gave us kind of a conceptual blessing on it. Same thing with the road. We wanted to park out at School Street and also put parking on Hartland, another whole group at Livingston County. And, we asked them, could we do this? They said, you can only keep your parallel parking on Hartland Road. So we didn't start drawing the diagonal that we'd shown on our plan. But over on School Street, they would let us have some more parking. They agreed, but they told us where we could have it, whatever. So we got these conditional approvals so that we felt confident enough then to continue on with our plans. Okay, so I wanted to tell you a little backstory because that was going on as we developed our plans, trying to be respectful. So with that, in your packet, and it's just going to go at a high level, as a sampling of plans that we've been developing that we're trying to finish to put out to contractors to bid. So, Sarah, if you're able to open, let's see here, order reviews at the third one down. There we go. Yeah. You guys might have all seen this, but I just want you to see what's going to hit the streets a little bit. So what happens is, if you can picture the old school blueprints, on the front page is a cover sheet that talks about all the sheets that. This is that survey we bought. Okay, so we need that, so the contractor's gonna need that, then the next sheet is going to be a removal plan. So again, you get the survey, so everything is exactly to scale, so that all the measurements, when they give you cost, is accurate. So that's a removal plan. Then the next plan is that layout that we started to talk, that I showed you on our plan that shows like, yeah, the pavilion, pavers, sidewalks, things like that. Just going through real quick. And then there's a lot of details. And so this sheet here is showing them how to build steps, sidewalks, brick pavers. Again, so that we've got a way to measure to make sure contractors building things right. Brick piers on the right, that picket fence, the one above is the screen, it's a gate to get into our utilities, on and on. We'll get to that pavilion soon. And then we're gonna have to get a permit at the sign. We had to go to the township to make sure because we wanted to push the rules. They say where your property line is, you need to be back about 10 feet. But the way your sight lines were on Hartland Road, where we wanna line it up with the face of your building, so you don't have the sign at the corner going levers that way. We showed them our hardship. And they allowed us to put our sign kind of right in front of the old entrance, right, dead smack, so you'll see it on Hartland Road. So that's a deal later, we'll have to get a permit for it, but they've given us their blessing.
And just a quick question about that,
Yeah.
because at that township meeting, they were okay with putting it there?
Yeah.
Like very basically?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that was questioned, but.
That was
the
questioned. Yeah, and
Right.
it's gonna be really visible by having it right there in front of your beautiful old entrance.
Right.
So we showed them that we had the grade of the hill. And that was a hardship. Now, you can break rules if you show, the rule just doesn't apply, you have a hardship, you can't do it. And they brought into it. But again, we did that up front, so that later we're not like stalled. So now when the contractor goes to get a permit, we've already kind of greased the skids. So that's that. This is just more details and on, so, yeah, so I won't go, there's also an irrigation plan at the very end. We had,
This was interesting to me. This is what the stormwater thing is.
yes,
And I don't have words for what it is.
Yeah.
That's where the water goes.
right, so it's basically, good,
Yeah.
it's basically chambers and, oops, I'm doing this, yeah. It's not gonna work, but, all of this area, we kept moving it around, they're sick of us, but right there is like a field of plastic chambers underground that the bottoms are open so the water can go in and soak into the ground. And then what happens is the water eventually leaves the chambers and go out to the storm, which goes out, way out, and here's the wetlands. But we had to have the meetings with the town, it was all great, it's just more stuff's involved that we just didn't know. And that just happens, but lucky us that we found out now. Yeah. Yeah, that's the landscape plan. So the landscape is kind of icing on the cake, you gotta do everything else first. But yeah, that's the planting, and then I think we get to somewhere at the end, irrigation. Did we get that? Yeah, that's irrigation. Which, you know, if I'm taking that side, because that's one decision right now, you guys, because there wasn't irrigation out there, but if you want a really nice lawn area, if you don't water it, it's gonna turn into weeds when we have droughts and whatever. So we try to be modest, but we have irrigation out there. Our irrigation designer met with your building, Scott, looked to see the well and all of that, and figured it all out. But what we did decide to do, and it's your call, but your garden area is right out here. And then they treat, and our irrigation, designer thought with Scott to put like a little spigot out there that you put a hose to. And we just started talking about the future project that, you know, is gonna play. We wonder if we wanna put a spigot, sorry, I'm cutting in front, in this area where we're gonna eventually have gardens as part of that grant. So if we'd like that idea, right, because you don't have to haul a hose, I thought we could have the irrigation designer also add another spigot right there. Okay.
The two long, is that irrigation as well? The two,
Where are we looking?
like right in the middle there, yeah.
And all water. Yep, these are big spray rotor heads that will water the lawn. Yeah, those are more
And the one
Okay.
thing that we've had so many meetings and boards not, the big change, because it all happened all at once with getting that grant, right when we were going with this, that first picture was a nice rectangle. And so what we've done is the heritage garden that's going to be the grant at the end of this, is gonna go in here,
Right.
at this end. And so you'll notice we removed some of the
trees.
end there, and Sue's kind of glossed over it because we haven't planned it all yet, that her plan is just leaving it open to add that in next.
Right, right.
And we can do it concurrently.
We can do it
But
concurrent.
that's the part that they haven't all heard, so I think.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have some brick pavers here, kind of like an entranceway, but those might go away. We've made an opening in the fence, but if we have play elements and little kids, we might not.
yeah.
So we're taking as far as we can, but we thought you guys, I try to encourage that, let's get this out, let's get this built. We can tell the contractors, this is what we know now, but there might be some changes. You know?
And I feel good about, we know that the stormwater can handle whatever we're putting there, because we talked to them about that, so
Yeah,
it's flexible. Is
right.
there anything worth going down for? Is it's all about what's underground then, at the bottom?
Yeah, that's lighting,
Lighting, a
lighting.
photometric study.
When we went to the township and we have lighting, we have to make sure it's not too bright, we meet all the rules, so we had that done. Then we fixed, some fixtures, these are kind of cool. These are the old schoolhouse type fixtures that we thought we could hang from the pavilion, so we have that really kind of charm,
Yeah, and that's the end of that thought.
yeah.
And the sign will be lighted as well.
The
right?
sign is gonna be lighted from the outside, it's two-sided, right, because we can see it from both ways and there'll be an uplight. So we had to go through that, we've got photometrics
I think it's.
on that to show how the brightness will be.
Can you show just where the sign is gonna be in relation to?
It's in one of
upfront?
these.
Yeah, if you go.
Is it in one or something? Okay.
Well, like
It's-
even
it's-
here, I thought maybe
Yeah.
it's just,
Okay.
right there, and that's the old front
So
entrance.
it's
Okay.
right in line with the front door.
Okay.
So now everybody's gonna see it,
Yeah.
right?
And because the trees are gone, you'll be able to see it from the corner,
Sure.
and then you come up the hill. So you'll associate the sign with the building,
Right, right.
which I think would be good.
As opposed to the empty
Right,
building.
And by having that picket fence around your perimeter, not only does it protect kids from rolling down the hill, but it also creates, like anybody's fence, all of it's the same property. Before, schools would.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so with that, I talked about, I think the next thing, just because it kind of break up is show and tell. And this is kind of a big decision. You should probably open up that drawing, that last one, polygon. So the pavilion, when we met on the pavilion before and I showed you those drawings, we found, it's a company called fifthroom.com. They're all out there, where they go and they make the pavilions at their factory, we'll say. And then it ships here, the contractor then builds the foundation. The electrician's gonna wire inside of it for our lights and outlets and all of that, maybe we'll have fans. But, it's, there's a lot of competitors out there, it's made out of state shipped, and it's made out of vinyl, okay? It's a high-end vinyl, and I've got samples, but it's vinyl, and vinyl can get damaged, okay? And it starts out shiny, and I hate that, right? It just looks, but over time, it gets dull, and you can't really tell, and it's decent. But that, to stay in price and all that, we said, okay, this, it's a good look, whatever. So then we went to couple architects, asked them if they could design something similar out of better materials for the same cost. And it was a little more, it was like about 1.3 times the cost of this. Well, then, as you got involved with this grant project, it's called Ventura, they represent play equipment, music equipment, and they also represent pavilions. So they saw the drawings and they're like, wait, we are interested too. So with that, I said, well, here's what we've got going. If you can be competitive, we'll look at it, okay? So they created drawings. See, looks good. In fact, if you go to the last page, Sarah, they did the pretty rendering, right? Their stuff. So inside our columns with the vinyl is treated, high pressure, is pine, but they treat it so it won't rot, but it's wood. These guys are all about steel, heavy duty, not vinyl, all of it. The roof are asphalt shingles that we're gonna match the roof of the library, and so does the vinyl one does. They have the asphalt shingles, they're great. But where you get into differences are these columns from the steel company, inside are steel, not wood. And it's fiberglass, so it's a lot nicer. It's got a little texture to it. All up in these other areas are painted steel. Both companies underneath show we can do a tongue and groove ceiling, which is beautiful, so that's good. But there's this longevity, I guess is what I'm gonna say. So they came back to us, they showed us all this, it's like, great, we can do it all. They also have gutters where the other one didn't and they can't. Well, that's kind of nice too, in the rain. So, but it costs about 1.5 times that. So glad that we talked about the budget, but it's just something to consider. So I brought a sample and I think maybe you can pass kind of touch, but this is the finish, right, versus the vinyl. It's a matte finish that's got texture. I don't know, I prefer it, but we had to talk about it, We can bid it both ways, because we've got, when you bid, you never know. We could bid both, we could say, hey, and then we can decide. But that's just something, think about. The other good thing is they're local. So if there's troubles, they're local, where the other is kind of like mail order. But we've done our homework. Everybody says they step off. But anyway, on the ceiling underneath, they have different, this is a fir, or the other company uses cedar, but they can stain it. And so this is kind of nice because it's going to be very light with their colors. You get in our building being the color it is, if you get into yellow, it kind of flashes. It's just kind of a light, nice color.
Is the lighting also underneath?
We're gonna hang those schoolhouse lights.
Oh, that's what's.
Yeah.
There, okay, great.
Yeah. Which the township had to look at all our lighting and they agreed with, so that was good too. Anyway, it's just, that's,
Choices.
yeah, it's just choices, if you're liking that, but we can talk about it, and that's one of the decisions, what do we do, And if you guys like the idea of bidding both, then we're kind of safe and we can just kick the can down the road until we get pricing. What do you think?
I would bid both, we have.
Yeah.
What's kind of hurts to get 2 bids.
No, and what's kind of nice is both are made off-site, they come on-site. Contractor has to still pour the concrete. He has to do a lot of the same things for either or. So it's not like it's just who he buys it from. And they're both totally quality companies, So that's that. Do you want to see up close? This is the brick that came off your building. And then here it's kind of nice because it's got a texture.
Is that for the piers?
That's the piers.
Yeah. We stood outside next to the building.
Yeah.
It looks good next to the.
And whenever you guys do this, go outside. Inside, all colors get different, right? You know that in your own house. It's surprising, you know, and so when we had the brick guy come to us, Belden was made, and I'm like, look at it, but then we show up outside, and I'm like, guess he knew what he's doing.
Stop and save some.
And then the pavers are gonna be a little duller, but they match, like I said, the donor pavers that are down there already. We could have gone matchy, I had it out there for, so she's like, it's getting too circus, maybe, I don't know what you call it, but so those are some samples just to look at.
And the pavers are going under the pavilion.
The pavers are going underneath the pavilion, and then we also have another area over by your garden, like a little fun sitting area.
Right.
And right now, over off of School Street, there was kind of a doormat that might go away once we do that grant project. All right, so that's kind of that. Okay, so I think our next one's the hard one, is the budget. Thought we should go through that.
I see where you're going with this. You like that you came in with that.
Strategy. No, we're all in it together. It's not bad. It's just, it is what it is. So this was the budget that we looked at back when we had a preliminary design. So all the front page pretty much stayed the same, so that's good. So when we continue on, so where we got to with the budget was preliminary was this 871, okay? And that again was based off of an aerial, not a survey, whatever. But then, you know, our little qualifier at the end of the budget, we said, hey, doesn't include stormwater management, wasn't that smart? And then utilities, work associated if you wanted to work on that parking lot by the school. We just kind of diagrammed it out. We, at that point, we were showing a bus drop off on School Street, or the Hartland Road. So we didn't include that in that estimate. So now we've got all our work done. So now we're adding these things back in, okay? We talked about it. The first one you see is nasty. It's that stormwater management. It's $200,000, $220,000. So that was underground, and we can't help that. You know, if we want to improve your site, that's the best. In fact, what was really cool is when we met with Livingston County, they were really good to us, which was amazing. We got a really good civil, and they were cordial. They weren't cheating, but basically they left up to us that currently we put water into the wetlands. We can still do that. And then they gave us the option of, did we want to treat it to purify it even a little more, or it was our call, or just continue doing what we do today, but just don't add any more. So they left that open for us and saved us a bunch of money, because they could have told us, sorry, you know, any water that goes into that wetlands, and our water's real clean, it's not like off of a road, but they could have told us now we have to do a whole treatment system, and they said, you don't have to do it. So anyway, that's as good as, you know, that's as good as we can do. Electrical service. So, you guys work with LJ Rolls Electrical Company. They, they recently, like 3 years ago or so, updated your electrical panels, all of it. So now we want to put all this lighting and different things outside. So we had, his name's Austin from the company, go out and look at your system. Hey, can it handle all the new lighting? And what would be involved? So he went out and gave us a quote and looked at it and said, I can make it work. I've got to upgrade the service a little bit and, you know, remove these things, but I can make it work. And here's the quote. So our quote before for the lighting in the preliminary guess was $65,000 for the lighting. His lighting cost was $65,000. What we didn't have, as we mentioned, is utilities. So his service for the electrical remove and replace is another $26,000. So another decision. What's gonna happen is we're gonna put this project, because there's so many different things. It's not just planting, it's removals, it's stormwater. We're gonna put it out to a general contractors so they can manage it. But we don't have to put the electrical scope for the general contractors to bid. Does this make sense? We could just say, no, LJ Rolls is gonna do it. Or we can say, thank you so much, you know, for giving us that quote. We want you to bid it. You can go to the general contractors and give them your price. But then the general contractors who are bidding it find their own electrical guy. if they wanted to. So I guess that's a decision if we want to bring in another company to also bid it
Yeah,
or
and I,
not.
and I don't know the benefit. I mean, we work with them, they're our general contract, we have a contract with them for our HVAC, electrical, plumbing. So we work well.
Yeah.
I mean, there are.
And they know your
Yeah,
system, and we looked at the price and it does seem very
It
fair.
seems fair.
But again,
We
you
don't
know,
know.
that's a decision. She's sometimes, you know how it is, you don't want different people.
Yeah. So we don't know, and I talked to Scott about it, he was like, I don't
Yeah.
know, 'cause sometimes if you get a contractor who wants to work with their guy, like,
Yeah,
we don't, but I've never done this, so I don't know.
Right,
So, again,
I know, when we went to him, I said, listen, you guys, I told him, I said, I don't know how this is gonna play out.
Yeah.
So if there's a cost for you just to assess this,
Mhm.
then we'll pay you, cause you know, and then you can bid it. But he said, no problem, I'll just, you know, look, whatever, but that was nice, but I didn't, he doesn't, we don't owe him. So I guess that's just another decision what we wanna do. You know, again, we can whisper and not whisper, but I mean, what we are gonna do is when we get the general contractors to bid these things, we can say, hey, LJ Rolls has already looked at it, they work on the thing. You know, you're welcome to use your own guy also, but there's somebody that, you know, we'd like you to at least get a price from.
yeah.
I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Mhm.
Do we need another ad hoc committee meeting? Or not? I don't know. I'm just, I'm not fast at decision making on my feet.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, oh.
Well, she's laying out all the things that were lingering. Because if we do that, then we have to come back to a meeting like this. to make a
Yeah.
decision. So I figured we'd just do it.
Yeah, and that's fair. I just, yeah, whatever.
There's not a whole lot more decisions
Okay.
now, okay, I understand that, and you know, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
So, you know, you don't want to be rash,
Yeah.
it's been going along like the right process and like, you know, no shortcuts, but then it's just, I want you to be involved too, you know?
I mean, my knee-jerk reaction is the company and the gentleman who knows
Yeah.
the
Right.
system.
That was nice.
But,
That was fun.
but,
They're trustworthy, we have a
Right.
relationship, they're local.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
yeah,
but I'm not a contractor either, so.
Right.
Yeah.
typically on the projects we've worked with,
Yeah.
the electricians, you know, they're square and they, especially on the panels and they know it all.
Yeah,
They just stick,
yeah,
you know, and it works pretty well.
yeah,
Every so often, you know, not, but they have a long history.
yeah.
So you're looking for a decision tonight. Is that-
Well, only because we wanna get this out to bid if we can, you know, again, not to push it, you know. At the end of November, which is not too far away, we're beginning the first week of December. Why is that? Because once we do that, get it out to bid, it's gonna take them about 3 weeks to bid. So then we get the bids in, we'll call it right before Christmas, then we'll have, like, at the beginning of January, we check them out.
Yeah.
Make sure everything's solid, so there's not like, oh boy, we gave you the job and then they forgot something. And then in January, we can hopefully then get a decision, we make a recommendation, hey, you know, and then they would have time so they could start on the March. So it's a
I
nice
feel like it
schedule.
will keep the momentum.
Yeah, and it's good,
Which is.
yeah.
And when you're saying out to bid all of this, the gravel, the pavilion, the whole, but one contractor to do all of it.
Yeah, so it's a general contractor, so we kind of like, usually the general contractor might be a really good concrete guy, but he doesn't do lighting, he doesn't do storms, so then he gets other contractors to work on his team,
Right.
okay?
And the figures that we have before us
Our estimates.
are estimates.
Estimates, as good as we can,
So
you know, like,
it will be what they're saying they can do it.
right, so like the stormwater management, we went to the guy who designed the system and said, what's gonna cost? You know, so he gave us that, a detailed sheet. And the electrical service, Austin gave us the detailed sheet.
Yeah, so if there's a decision to be made right now, I'd say we stick with goals. Because Scott's comfortable with that and I'm comfortable with that. And I know that's a hard one to make. Rolls is the lucky nutrition guy.
Yeah.
Because I know you don't know how to make that decision, so
Yeah.
that's just one.
But it feels like you're comfortable.
Yeah,
He's got the knowledge.
He's spent almost
history, and
30 years.
background. Yeah,
yeah,
it keeps the momentum going.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so.
So,
Yeah, if that's why he wanted the quote, just to see what he's gonna say.
If we have capacity, right, like, and
Yeah.
that's
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
Um,
Fortunately, lighting today now is changing to LED and
Yeah.
it's not as much demanding for power, which is good.
So do we need a motion?
no,
No,
not yet.
for-
I don't
not
have
yet,
it just
because
yet.
we-
There's more on the other
Yes,
side.
Right.
So just to continue on the budget, I'm just kind of including.
But just a question too, sorry, to kind of backtrack here, for the $220,000, that's like something that there's kind of like with the stormwater, that kind of came about. It's kind of not a choice.
It's
Because
not a
the way that
choice.
It's going down on the wetland,
Right.
doesn't do that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of not our choice.
It's not our choice. It wasn't
Right, it wasn't planned, but
It wasn't
but after
planned.
surveying and doing all that, I
That's
just
why,
want the public to be aware, here's where the,
Yeah.
money, so
Yeah.
it's kind of not a,
no,
some things are beyond our control when you're doing this and you get a site survey.
yes, and that was the big one, so we're
Right.
right first. But
Right,
that's just how it went down.
And the other thing to remember for the board is we're looking at the budget here,
Mhm.
but the budget we adopted had $500,000 contingency.
Mhm.
So we're only
Right.
looking at about 100 to 150,000 difference in what we budgeted. So when we see what the bids come in is where we'll have to go to hard tax.
Yeah.
What we're gonna really do, but it isn't,
Crazy.
it's not
Right,
untenable,
right,
especially when we know what our fund balance is.
Mhm.
So I feel like we should at least go to bid. I don't feel like, that's my opinion.
It is the 90,000, is that
Yeah, it was good.
upgrading to the?
Yeah, I was getting to the next one, so
Okay.
we only got through the electrical
Oh, yeah.
service, so
Okay.
yeah, we'll go through that. So the next one was School Road. When we did the project, we didn't have to include that. So now what that includes is we've got a sidewalk along there, we've got parking,
Mhm.
we have, they call them accessible ramps, so you can go across the street. We've had the county look at it, the concept, and they said, yes, this could be. So that's what that cost would be, the 40. Hartland Road curbing. So Sarah, you had said that, from Hartland Road, when we kind of go down and cross to go to the parking lot across the street, it was to provide a walk and a ramp and a crosswalk, like designated. And then when you get to the other side, when you go straight across, there was kind of like a little bit of a hill. So it was to get just kind of a flat walk there to receive and then head over to the parking lot. So that costs like $5,500 to do, again, we get pricing in if we decide, no, but that was something that just kind of helped for safety. Let's see, upgrade steel and
I'm sorry, I gotta ask, 'cause
No.
just like when
Yeah.
for full disclosure, and because some of us were on the committee, as well.
Yeah.
With doing that too, for the school road walk and the Hartland Road, we had talked about as well in committee with, maybe the schools, and what the schools were expecting to for the bus turnaround there. Were they going to assist us with any financial?
Well, they were saying they would do it in front of their building,
Okay,
so we're not actually planning for doing it for the bus.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's,
But all this is
Okay.
interesting, because when people see road work, they'll think the county's doing it.
right, and it's not right,
Yeah,
right,
and we're not paving the road, but we're doing a lot in the road that isn't done,
right,
correct?
right,
The talk about the schools was if we ever pave that,
right,
and we haven't really to that, other than we're doing this and it'll
Right.
time.
right.
But no, this bit is $50,000 worth of kind of road work
Right,
that isn't paid for by the county.
right.
And that was a question, my
Right.
staff had asked for this crosswalk, and really what she's talking about there is you go across and the hill is up into almost, the sidewalk ends at the cemetery, but you have to kind of cut into the hill and do all this work. But if we're making it a walking area, do we wanna do it? I guess we'll have to decide when we see what everything costs, but the question was, do we put it out now to not make work away? So there is a thing about bidding where you don't really want to say, do all this work to make the bid and then nickel and dime people.
Yeah,
I
right,
don't wanna break the
right.
bid that you want.
Everything.
Yeah.
Right, right.
If you're gonna do it,
Fair enough, yeah, right, right, right.
And if we're gonna go to the county, cause we gotta look at this, so we
Yeah.
want to show them what we wanna do.
Yeah.
Versus go one by one, instead permit.
Yes.
Which we could, if we do, like to Becky's point,
Mhm.
we do wanna make the best bid, we could take another few weeks, but it slows things down, right?
Yeah.
But that's good.
Mhm.
So the next one was what we were talking about, that upgrade to the steel and fiberglass pavilion. Our original quote was 90,000. And what the fiberglass one turned out to be 80, but then to install it was another 40. So instead of the 90, it turned into whatever, 84, 120. But if we move up to the steel and fiberglass one, it basically started with our 90 before it adds another 90. Because there's an install and the cost. So it's an upgrade, and it's just, again, if we want, I think what we decided was just bid both, and then we'll find out our fate. You know, but I just, once we had that opportunity, I didn't wanna close our eyes to it, you know?
Well, so you had mentioned something like longevity or something. We want this to be legacy.
Yes.
To last
Yes.
forever.
Right.
So
Maybe don't.
I think like, cause are you saying like the steel would probably be the ones?
Oh,
For
for
sure.
Yes.
I just,
Yeah,
not a material.
yeah,
Like,
you know, yeah.
Yeah.
So like the vinyl has a limited lifetime warranty, but if a lawnmower hits it and stuff like that, it's just,
It's good.
says we can't hold up to that.
Right.
So,
Crack or something.
you know.
Okay.
Whatever.
I'm sorry.
It's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Right,
It's
and
just
it's what I'm-
steel, but-
Right, so, and kind of, this is a real deal building, so.
Yeah.
Rail parking lot, that's right between us and, you know, the school. So right now, we would put gravel there, so I don't know if that's something you want to deal with the school, I don't know how that goes down. But again, the original estimate didn't include it, and so now we're like, okay, we should do something. The well water source for irrigation, so we had a quote in there for irrigation, when our contractor came out, that was Scott, they looked at the well. And so now what they have to do is create like a new water tap meter backflow, it's only that, the rest of it was still under budget, but it's just getting this, because it's a well. And then the last one to explain, general contractor, general conditions costs. So because now we've got so many items, we mentioned we wanna use a general contractor. He gets about a 10% commission, you know, to cover and run the show. We need, someone's gotta manage it, there's no way we can do that. So that's what we're thinking he's gonna put a tab on to manage everything. And that's everything, you know, that is just ones that I'll go into detail on, it's a big job. So when we get to the bottom of it, I remember she said we have about $1.4 million now. I'm not trying to. Yeah, no, but anyway. This is where we're at, you know, it's kind of like I said, some things we can't help, other things, you know, it was a preliminary plan, it just evolved, but I just wanna make sure you're clear on that and we're feeling so comfortable, you know, to go, that was the hard part of this deal. Right?
Since we already had anticipated.
Yeah, right, yeah, so again,
I would make a motion that we adopt this, but that we reinstate our little committee, because when the bids do come in,
Yeah.
you're gonna want somebody to bounce it off.
that would be so perfect. And our job, once the bids come in, is first to contact everybody who bid and make sure that we're getting solid numbers. And we can really guide and say, you know.
I second.
All right, so now I think just a few last things to go through on this agenda, if you're still up for it. Sure. Okay, so, Sarah, if you just kind of go back to that original plan, the landscape plan, yeah, that one. Just wanna make sure we're okay with a few things. So on the original landscape plan, our property line, for example, up by the school is right there. And if you see this green right here, we wanted to extend that hedge a little further, just to basically not look out at the parking lot. So we wanna put some improvements on their property, we're gonna work it out with the school, but I want you to be aware that we've crossed the line.
Right here.
Do you see that, how we stuck onto the school property, our plan still is showing that, but again, I just want you to be aware.
Can I ask a question, just because us ladies, they talked about it.
I can't hear you, what?
isn't the hedge and the camouflage for the hedge?
Yes, that's,
Right.
yeah, yes, yes.
Yes,
Right.
that's exactly right. We talked about, yes, okay.
And so Sid and I talked about this, I had a meeting with the school and
And make
either,
sure.
we might need to get an easement,
Okay.
or we might just have an agreement that we can put bushes.
Okay.
Okay.
And, and we have an opening on the plans now, so you can walk through. Use the
Right,
Okay.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
okay. But that's one thing. The other place is you've got this really funky property line.
Yeah.
So your property line is out here in the street and then it jogs up and over. So out here where this is just not, you remove your trees, is to put some more vegetation low, just to hold the slope. So we're off your property right there, okay? So again, it's still with the plan, we're still showing that, we think we wanna do that. Irrigation, when we do that, it's gonna want some water, for both places, so our irrigation designer is putting, okay, there's the main pipe with all the pressure in it, the main line, he's keeping that on your property, and then he's just doing, they call them lateral pipes and sprinklers on off property, so if something happens, not to move the main line, so they plan that smart, but I just wanted to let you know, we kind of left your property for a little bit. County has to approve it, we're out in their road, which they will, but I just wanted to give you an FYI on that.
Just so everyone's aware as well, there was an ad hoc committee that went through a lot of this. So the one thing when we have the summer concerts in that one area up there will be a good way to kind of hide the porta potties.
Right.
Okay, so that's what we were kind of trying to decide, like right there, okay, because
And
we need
accessible,
those.
to walk to on the
Right.
like nearby. It's up on the hill, you're not going down the hill.
Right.
When they looked at the irrigation, and you've seen it on your new walk-ins here, the rust. So it's well water, there's rust. So when our designer, that was Scott, they're trying very hard with the sprinklers, not to hit that white picket fence.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so it's a concern. But, you know, we're trying to be as careful as can, he's got notes all over the plans that can be done, but sometimes you got a windy day, but it's not gonna be like what already happened to your walk.
Yeah.
So we're aware of it, I'm just giving you an FYI, it's not going into line. Okay, so then, you can do this plan up, it's just good for. When the contractors are bidding the job, they wanna know where can they put store all the materials, where can they put their park? So right now, what we're telling them as they're building is that they're gonna be able to, and gotta work with the schools, hang out up here with their storage, right? So they're gonna wanna work in here, and then they can also eventually park over in this lot across the street. Very important, if it's far away, it's more money, closer they can go, you know, they wish they could drive up to everything, right? So that's what we're gonna tell them, that's just kind of homework on that. Item 9, on the approvals and required permits. What we've got left to do is, got all our approval through the township, the next step is to get your permits. Our civil engineer has already given us a proposal, he is going to go to the township to give, they call it a land use plan, if you've done any projects on it in Hartland, you have to get it, like, I add an expansion, you gotta get a land use plan, he's gonna get it. With that in his hand, then they can go over to the county and get a county soil erosion control permit. That's so that when they're, you know, doing removals and stuff, the dirt isn't going like on the roads and all of that. And then they're gonna get that storm drainage permit, the management that right now they've conceptually approved. It's gotta get a permit and the road permit. He's gonna handle that. Our contractor, and we've already met with the township, thank goodness, he's gotta get a permit to put the pavilion up, a building permit, to do the sign, to do the piers, and to do the electrical. So, we've talked with, you know, LJ Rolls that will help with that because they have to sign and seal and engineer the electrical so that it's a solid system. But that's just still, again, things that are gonna go on, so you understand they're covered. We've got it written, we're writing it in the specs, so the contractor knows what he's responsible for, and number 10 is the bid process. We reached out, to a couple of engineers and said, who could we bid to as general contractors? So we've got a list of 6 names there. The first one we just worked with in Milford, that's artisan, is awesome. And McCarthy Smith we worked with, and then the next, 3, a contractor that works in Livingston County on a lot of projects, highly recommend those. And then Sarah said, show me your bidding policy, and so we were gonna do a public invitation too, okay? But it's nice to have, to go to the ones you know are good, and at least get them to also bid.
Yeah, so that's in our purchasing policy about our, public sealed bid, will be a sealed bid, so it'll be on our website. We really just have to advertise it, it doesn't have like requirements for where. So I think website, posted in the place we post things, but we don't have to put it on the big websites or whatever, but we wanna get enough interest to make it worth. Cause we think of this as a really big project, but it's a little project for some people, yeah. So, but we also don't want 60 bids that we don't need.
Right.
So we wanna make sure they're good bids that can do it, and not that people are looking.
Right.
So I have some ideas and we'll talk to people we're gonna post. Cause people locally have asked me, where will it be? It'll definitely be on our website and it may be a few other places. So
So let's see, what else was I thinking? Project schedule, like I said, we'd like to have it start in March. Checked in kind of, with the amount of work, how long does it take? So right now, what we've been told it can be done in June. When we put it out to bid, we're gonna have the contractors. There was another part in your packet with specifications. We're gonna have them submit a schedule. That'll be part of our review to make sure it's not just make believe, that they can show they can schedule and make it. So that's good. And then the furniture, just kind of the last thing, just an outstanding with one of your groups. Currently on our plans, what we've done is we have shown where there are like benches, and there were like benches along, like there's some benches. We want to attach those to the walk. So what we're going to tell the contractor is, you guys are going to buy the furniture, so you don't get a markup from the contractor. You can buy it. We got just said about that, but we'll have him like anchor it. Okay. So those will get anchored, and then these little squares in there have the tables with the umbrellas. Those two, because of wind and stuff, they get anchored. And so they will anchor it, but you guys will buy it. The part that you haven't done yet and have time is just to meet, long ago, before we took the left turn with stormwater, is like, here's that little area that was awesome, it has pavers. We have movable tables and chairs, and you can gang the tables together, groups of people or pull them apart. Movable, so you can get those, so we don't have to get the contractor involved at all. He's gonna make the pavers, you just have to bring the furniture, as well as I think we've got some, extra pavilion. But that's just outstanding, so it's just not to forget, because it's been a while. Yeah. That's it. It was a lot to cover, but.
It's only 45.
But there's a lot that I want you to be very aware of, and I'm glad that you guys are hearing it too, because this is a really cool.
So exciting and
Yes.
So exciting.
Good.
it's
Yeah.
gonna benefit everyone.
Everyone, the whole community, and now she's got this other project coming at the end.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, I mean,
Yeah.
every day there's gonna be.
Yeah.
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 Well, and I think decision wise, so Sue and I have been meeting a lot. She's been doing a lot of work. A lot of my staff have been doing a lot of work. Here's what I see for timing. The stormwater, I mean, Don, the first time we talked about this, you were like, the stormwater is gonna get us. So really, it's about, let's round up to 200,000 more than we thought initially. And we know that we just saw the audit that we put 380 from last year away that we haven't even designated yet. So I think we can afford it without nickel and diming the plan. I do think that if we want to, it's your decision, not mine, but, other stuff might come in higher, right? So, because everything's going up as we know in the world. So I don't mean let's just spend all the money. We're gonna have to make some decisions, but I think we should at least bid it before we decide what we can't afford. Because we are poised to do it. We did designate the community's ready for us to spend some of this money. All that said, none of this has to happen to function as a library, right? I mean, it's not mission critical. I did talk to Bill about it today. He said he's all for it. So I don't feel like you would have anything negative to say about it. I don't even know that we need to vote about it. We just need to know that we're comfortable moving forward. We definitely should have, it's going to be the holiday season, but we can start having regular meetings again with these little decisions. Right. But Stu really involved on the last few weeks because this all came together quickly, and I added another project on top with this grant, which is more decisions being made at the same time, which is exciting, but it's still a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So I don't know. Did we answer the questions? Did we leave any questions unanswered other than the roles?
Yeah.
Do we want to do both pavilions or just want to do the better? I'm not sure.
I
Maybe
think
they
get a
both-
bid for both.
And then see what
I
we
think bid both.
So I guess it's an
And
hour.
then,
we need
right,
to cut
right.
100,000.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, the bid, that's for me
Right.
to get the bids.
Right.
But, I mean.
Yeah.
Right,
Well,
But if
my-
looking at everything,
right.
The more sturdy. steel
Right,
one,
right.
But,
I would agree
but,
too.
right. But it is good to get
But the bids,
to get bids so that we're very transparent.
I'm actually more comfortable with doing this because, like, not a complaint, but what I've been questioning with the audits previously is we have taxpayer funds that we're not using.
Right.
And this is something that the people asked for.
Right.
So at least we're now not just sitting on money for no reason that we collected from people, and we're not just spending it frivolously.
Yeah.
We're trying to create something that people actually ask for.
Yes.
I'm all for the better one as well, but I do have a question, and I don't know if you know or not, but so the steel beams, just to kind of keep like in mind for future, if we end up doing that route, do they have to like, I would assume they're like paint, right?
Yes, they have this 5-part process.
So how long would that, maybe that would be a question for the company too, like how long is that paint, would that be typical?
Yeah, they've got a warranty, it's like called some treatment of the steel. It's like where the columns are, the steel's inside and they're wrapped with the fiberglass.
Okay.
But up higher, kind of the curved arches, that is the steel, you know, but they've got this whole process that it's called powder coat and they
Okay.
do alternate.
How long is the
And that's-
warranty for that? I'm sorry.
I think it's a 10-year.
Okay.
And that's that sample right there. Those
Yeah, that was the
that they have.
sample.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and they've got this, patented policy. Poly 5,000 powder coat, but then they go through and they've got their warranty on it and, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Just for a tiny bit of historical context, like this is kind of how the library has done things. Careful, save up money. As far as I know, I believe that the addition
Same way.
where we're, the new youth room was also paid for in cash. Right, so it feels like we have way too much money, but that's been intentional so that we do not have to pay
Get a loan.
loan or like we are ready when we're ready and can control the costs more. So just how we like to do it.
I'd like to commend Sue for all the work she's put into this. It's been outstanding in all of our different meetings, from the township meetings to everything that you've done as well. Another component of this as well, Liz, I do want to give a huge shout out to Liz. Well, she has also put together some ideas too to help with this too, like to name a bench, to be a donor, to be a seed spreader, to do all this. So it's just like, that's a great way as well to help with cost, you know, I mean, again, yeah, we have the money, they have it here, but that's a good way to augment some of the other things as well.
It's true. So it sounds like you wanted to go to bed.
Yes.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'll show the system. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, very little pickup here.
No, that's
Yeah.
good, you're good.
Take your breaks.
Next on the agenda would be distribution of library directory innovation forms for the personnel committee.
So for that, I have them ready to go out tomorrow, because I figured they're not physical. I did, Bill was in today and I spoke to him and he said I can just send out the link. And we're working on how to collate them at the meeting. That's fine. And so, I feel like we had a good meeting about how to do it.
Good. We got comfortable.
Yeah, so I think, so the link will come from me. But it won't, it shouldn't worry you that my evaluation comes from me, because I can't see it. I will see it, but again, like, I can't tell who said what. So just don't say it in your way if you don't want me to know. Right, so, but that should go out tomorrow.
Okay.
That was,
And I could be an email.
yes, yeah.
And when's it due back?
That was in the notes of the personnel committee, and I'll have it in the body of the email. We'll need it before the personnel committee meeting so that we can go over it as a group and then talk about it at the next full meeting.
Recommendations of alternative legal firms, update from personnel committee.
So we did, talk about possibilities, of law firms that we could look at. It's Bill had blocked our law firm last time. So, Kim reached out to some, I also reached out to one, and, the one I reached out to, they did send me their, what is it called now? Yeah, perspectives. So they did send that out to me, as well as, like a little information about them, so I can forward that to everybody. Okay.
Okay.
They told me they sent it before the meeting, but I didn't get it until after.
That's from Needle and Dobbs.
Yes,
Needle, Needle. It looks like my name, so.
it's a really long name, actually.
Okay.
Good. Kim, did the firm you spoke with have anything like that, like a single document for share?
No, they're kind of waiting to hear back from me, so, and I just put down, you know, the few things that I had acquired from them both, so.
So where we're at right now is, I don't know that we're choosing one per se right now. No. I don't think, you know what I'm saying? So this is just, I think where we're at is if we need to. Does that make sense? Like if we needed to choose one, right, I guess. I don't know. Bill doesn't have his person either, so.
I mean, we could stick with who we've worked with for years. I think that's the default here. Otherwise, we will need to, you know, get additional, write that documentation to send
And
out.
I can ask too, if we decided that we wanted to, you know.
Yeah, refine the question,
Yeah.
I can do the whole process.
Right, and I'd like to have, I did read through the questions that everybody had, which was great questions. Because if we need to go forward, we would have to be fair, give everybody the same questions, get good feedback from them.
And I kept all the ones I was given, I didn't narrow, because there's a lot.
There's some really very similar to, right?
So if we were gonna send them out, maybe the coach should call them.
Yeah, 'cause some of them are similar.
So I started doing
Yeah.
that, and I felt like it wasn't my place.
Yeah.
Um,
So probably what we should do is talk about it at the personnel committee meeting again, especially if Bill's gonna be there, since it was, he was kind of the spirit as well.
Yeah, and I did see that we have the Foster Swift information as well, so that can be included at whatever point we get to it.
So send that back to, this will go back to committee.
to narrow down and answer all these questions.
So at committee, because are we gonna have a conversation at some point as a board about which questions to ask?
Or is that Sarah's just.
Do you wanna do that, or do you want that to be in the committee, or do you want us to come up with a committee and bring it back? Or,
I think you guys could take a shot at consolidating,
Consolidating,
but
right.
then as a board, we'll need to talk about it and
Right.
decide on what specific questions.
So I'm confused, because it's a compilation of what we all submitted?
yeah, that's what I'm used to it.
Yeah, because it- Some are, yeah,
And they're redundant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
but it's a good list.
No, it is
Really
good.
Right.
It's really good. I was impressed with,
So you would send this back to committee, the committee would come up with some questions, then bring it before the board and then kind of go from there again, correct?
Or like narrow down.
Narrow down the
Right.
questions and,
but percentage,
right,
we have some homework to do for that.
okay,
For our group.
all right. Any other discussion on? A communication from Michigan Library Association. In our packets, we all had a letter from MLA. Any discussion on that?
But just a point of clarification, it came to me and I guess to Sarah too. And I mistakenly read the email that came with it and assumed we all got it. So my apologies.
No, that's okay.
You all didn't get it. So that's why it's in the packet.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a question, because the question was, he was wanting to come talk to the board, and I was like, well, they'd have to say if they want. Because I don't know that you do.
I could say from my opinion, they were completely partisan. They could try to come and talk to us about it. I hope that they're changing. That would be ideal. But from listening to the meetings, calling in, being on the Zoom calls, unless they did a complete change, they're completely partisan.
This guy's new, Dylan.
No, that might be good.
He's
Yeah.
interim, isn't he?
Yes, he replaced the longtime leader. So it might be interesting.
I would be open to hearing, because if they really want to change, that's how they're gonna get people to come back. Because you can't be for one political party and be doing this, if it just doesn't make any sense.
I was thinking it might be interesting to do it in the spring, like January, February, if there's interest. I don't know that we have time next month or even maybe January, because it's our organizational meeting. But again, it's for you all.
When we table it, we don't have space on the next couple of
Yeah.
People, and then maybe send it to outreach committee.
I appreciate them reaching out to say that and
Right.
hoping that there's a drastic change.
And so Nancy, would you be able to respond since it addressed to you? Okay. It's funny because the policy about correspondence came up and I was like, we forgot. So thank you.
Good. Review of policies, 8012, board continuing education personnel. Really, I'm changing the.
There's one candidate that probably, that's a change, but the
That's a
one
change.
person is a change.
The personnel. So there were no changes in the policies 8012, 8013, and 8014. Is there a motion on the floor? We would need a motion on the floor to accept policies as written and reviewed by the committee. There were no changes.
Right, yeah. I'll motion.
I'll second.
Your roll call, Nancy,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Kim,
Yeah.
Dawn,
Yes.
Holly?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, motion carries. Next will be Board of Trustee meetings, proposal for 8002. Discussion.
Yeah, I suggested this so I can talk about it. So really just adding one line to description number 3, special meetings at the end. The board member who calls a special meeting must be in attendance at the meeting. I do think it's important that we be able to ask why we're there and receive an answer. So that's why I added it.
I just have an administrative question. Is this in cycle?
We can do things out of cycle.
Okay, which is fair. I just have an
Yeah,
administrative question.
Yeah, we've looked at 30-10 out of cycle several times.
That's fair. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I just bring it up
Yeah.
because I had a question and wasn't able to get an answer, so.
Pure administrative.
Correct. Well, discussion of that for if the president is asked, if you look at that, if the president would be asked to call a special meeting, a special meeting can also be called by a member of this board, okay, as well, to call a special meeting and ask the president to do so. So you're asking that the person that's calling the special meeting
Yes.
to be present.
Yes, so they can,
Whoever's calling the
Speak to that.
president meeting.
yes.
It felt
whoever's
like,
calling the meeting, who's ever asking the
Yeah, the
president.
board member who calls a
Calls.
special meeting.
The president and whoever.
Yeah, must be in attendance at the meeting.
I don't think it's a bad idea, fair to say.
Yeah.
So is there a motion on the floor to accept that, to,
I'll make a motion to adopt the policy as suggested.
Second,
do roll call? Nancy,
yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Dawn?
Yeah.
Holly?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, that passes. Next up is, challenge book process procedures. The book process procedures was not on this agenda after the special meeting, so that's why I wanted that to be added here this evening. There was quite discussion in that too with this. Okay, so a lot of discussion needs to happen here again with the board about the procedures and process for the book challenge. What we had agreed, thank you. What we had agreed to do at the special meeting was to read as many books as we could and hopefully have some to discuss here this evening.
I'm gonna
Unfortunately,
interject. Yeah, we were going to read as many books as we could to kind of establish a baseline for what's realistic. But we did say at that meeting, any books that were going to be discussed at a meeting needed to be included on the agenda for the public to see in advance. So, yeah, I don't recall that we agreed we were going to talk about anything because we could have if it made the agenda when it was posted. But we did. So we had made a commitment to the members of the public who were at that meeting that they would have an opportunity to know what was going to be discussed. And I think it's really important that we are completely transparent and let them know which books are going to be discussed at the meeting ahead of time.
Is that totally necessary? I mean, they have the whole list of all the books that's posted.
Right,
like,
but
so-
if you're asking the public, right, people are going to want to look at the books that are gonna be discussed.
Sure, and,
So we wanna ask them to read all 200 just to be prepared, because one book might be.
no, I'm just saying though, we all need to make sure that we have books available to read too, so that should be, right? I mean, I know.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Interloan, but I mean,
yeah, so I'm not talking about, no, this isn't referencing the procedure, this is just, I don't think we should be discussing any specific titles tonight.
I have a question.
oh, we're not going to.
Oh,
and I
That's
haven't-
kind of process.
Okay,
Process.
yeah.
We're talking about the process again, because we need to.
So I have a
Okay.
question.
Yeah.
Would it be okay if we let the public know the list of books that we're currently looking at?
Mhm.
Because whatever, just to speed up the process, whenever we get all 7 forms filled out, then we can go ahead and present those. Does that make sense? Because I just don't want to make it slower than it already is.
Yeah.
Because we have a list of like however many books you need.
We had a list of 20 books and that was discussed at the special meeting, one adult book, 10 children's
If we
books, 10,
public
kind of going that.
So I think we could do both. I think we could have a cadence where we get our list like in time, not at the meeting. So that
Right.
the books that are going to be discussed, and all of the things that are due the Friday before the agenda is done, and then we.
And from a staff
To put the-
perspective, so it was kind of messy. I was gone this week, so I apologize. We checked out over 500 books a day for a few days, because everyone in the districts are now trying to read all these, and they're trying to read all the books. So I do worry, I think it'd be good to just say, we're looking at these 20, you don't have to read all 200 right now,
Right.
because there's interest. And it would, and what we do is check out books, so it's not like staff can't handle checking out books, but it was a little like fast and furious there for a few days. So I had sent you all via an email, and we're supposed to do it in open meeting, so I put it in front of you in here.
But hold that
Yeah.
thought just for a minute,
Yeah,
okay?
different ideas.
So hold that thought, because it's like we have to dissect this per thing.
Okay.
The one thing is we have as a board been very transparent to all of the public. Here's the 230 books that we will be reading. The only books that we will not be reading are the ones that were readed, and that was a whopping 8 books, I believe, if I'm correct, okay? So we as a board over the next year, year and a half, will be reading all of these books. And here's where the situation comes in, because there is such an interest to read all of these books. When the board went to check out these 20 books that we have, I personally had them from all different libraries and everywhere to go get them. So when they're not available for us to do our due diligence in the special task that we have been assigned to do, that's where the problem is.
Were there
So-
some that guessed?
There were, I'm thinking, I'm trying to think back. I don't know if there were,
Because I think the point of putting them on hold was to just fund them on places. I didn't really
Right.
get at the last meeting that you weren't gonna check them out. I didn't fully understand.
I'm checking them out. I don't have time.
All right.
to come
I
read
checked
it.
them out too.
Yeah.
I read
And I-
the first books real quick, because I didn't want people to have to wait.
Right.
And
And
then
those are
said,
easy,
"Can you
but the
check
Right.
rest
out?"
of the other.
Right.
Long books,
Right.
like, but that was the messy thing, and my staff were very concerned about that, but
right,
that's the thing you have to understand about. And I think this will solve that if they're
Mhm.
not short ones, then you wanna leave them here. But if they leave the building, that's the thing, they were very concerned.
right.
Validly, 'cause there's laws and fines and things.
Understand.
But I think if the public wanna read them, they can.
Of course, and that's why they're available. You see the whole list online. But it's like there's many components of this here. So let's kind of dissect this with the first component that we're talking about, okay? Just so everyone's aware. So it's just like you're proposing that we have the list of, let's say, 20 to 25 books, and the 20 books in the board packet before before we're gonna review them in December. Let's just use that as an example. So the books each month, they would be listed in the board packet, so everyone's aware as to what we're reading. Correct?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that we
Okay.
could, whenever possible, specify, because the papers will be coming in throughout the month, right?
Right,
So
right.
it's not gonna be like this first
And
month.
you've
Right.
already read,
This is the first one.
you'd have already read them, so you were gonna be able to get them, so.
No, I just wanna
No, no,
make
no.
sure, yeah, we're on the
This is-
transparency piece, yeah,
Right.
making
Which
sure
is
that.
for the transparency.
So I think, yes, let's
Okay.
release the list,
Right, right.
make sure that the whole list is, has access. And then just as the 7 sheets come in, put it on the agenda. And then when we get to that month, that's at least where we start.
So those are the ones that are on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say, for example, you read the book and what have you, and then, because there's a spreadsheet that was prepared, with everyone's, responses and that for all their sheets that they had, to do that. So it's just like, so everyone's reading the 20, okay, so technically what you're saying is the 20, and I'm just looking for clarification, the 20 books that we picked for the month of November. So before the December meeting, those would be read, and then we would put it on the December agenda. The December, okay, so let's say, for example, the January books would be on the January agenda. Forward from there,
Yeah,
correct?
so we would always have a in-process list.
Right.
And as all 7 come in for that book would go on the agenda.
Right.
For
To be
discussion.
reviewed and voted.
Right,
I don't know that 20 books a month is realistic once we get out of like younger children's books, because I'm
Right.
working on some of the adult books and.
right,
I do agree, because I started reading
Right.
some of the ones that.
Do you
took
need
long.
the books that are in adult? Like that already moved to
we were asked to read all of them, so I would say.
Yeah, but you don't have to do what you were asked, you have to do what you need to do. Right, because I made that mistake. Like, if I move something to adult, do you have to check if you need to move it to adult?
That's what you're saying, is it redundant?
Yeah, it's redundant.
Mhm.
Now, there's only a few,
Right.
there aren't that many, but like, I tried to get an A on this assignment and you can't.
I have a question.
Yeah, right, so,
Right.
but I mean, you need to look at the ones that
Right.
may need, like, really might need to go to a higher level. So if they've already been moved to the highest level and they can't get it, so that can just, and there's probably only a few, but I'm trying to be effective.
Probably realistically, that's a small number.
It's a small
compared to the
number.
Ones that are the.
But people in the
Right.
public have said, why are they reading adult books? I'm like, well, they were teen books that I moved to adult, because I judged them as that. And if you're checking that word, you should just believe that you're not gonna say, oh, Sarah moved these back to teen. Like, that's not gonna happen.
Correct.
So. And it's a small number, but just like knock a few off your list
Mhm.
and think that way.
So that was the idea, to start with the children's books, knock 10 of them off. So if you could, okay, so.
So by December, we will continue turning in our slips continually, and by December, by the Friday before the
The
meeting,
meeting,
we should have.
for the board packet, so she's ready to go.
Yeah,
And I
But give you the
If it
information.
said put it in my box, I don't have a box by you, Darlene has
Right,
it,
you
in
don't
the
have-
mailbox,
right.
there, just put it in her mailbox,
Right.
right in your slots. So
Okay.
then you don't have to come find me or whatever,
Well, that's another issue as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's, again, we need to break this down.
Mhm.
So what we're suggesting is the Friday before the meeting, everyone's, as you're reading the books, okay, first off, just as you're reading the books, we're gonna fill out the form and you're gonna put them in the box, is. And then it'll be on the agenda for Darlene for every meeting, for everyone that's read everything. And since I'm the one that's doing the spreadsheet and kind of helping Bill with that situation.
so put it in your.
Okay, so here, well, it would be great, but here, in my opinion, is let's save a tree. I'm trying to help to remove some of this from Sarah. My question being, why are we putting it in Sarah's box and Bill's box? But having to fill out the up form twice myself, and I actually have read all the books that were assigned for the month of November, okay? In all full disclosure, I read 2 of them though before, when I had kind of just was reading them on my own, what have you. So what is the purpose of putting them in both mailboxes? If we have a spreadsheet going, do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, I would-
think that for the to try and help and save a tree and trying to,
yeah,
You know-
like having a backup copy and also just making sure that it's a check and balance, kind of,
okay.
to make sure that everything that's put in one, like maybe somebody gives one to Sarah and forgets to give it to you, or something gets
'Cause I
lost
need
in
a
the shuffle.
Cause they're public. Is why I want,
Okay.
Well, I just put them in those boxes.
okay, then I need a
Make one
copy.
copy, so I'll do another one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
I need
thinking
more
I was
sheets,
gonna
right?
put them in the packet.
Yeah, and instead of
Is that
writing,
not-
you just
but
copy,
you're
like write on one, make a copy.
All of them?
So every,
I mean, I put all my letters in the packet. I was gonna do them as additional information, so you should think about what they look like. But
That's a lot.
we hadn't discussed that.
That's a lot of paperwork. I mean,
Yeah,
It's
a lot.
It is a lot, this is just a lot.
It's just scanning, I mean, you're doing the work, I just scan it. So, that's why I want it, but I actually didn't ask for it.
okay, so asking the question
Yeah.
here too, yes, of course, it's public record.
Mhm.
We are gonna be discussing this to the public here when we vote on each book.
Mhm.
That's the public record.
Well, the documentation is there to show that we have the process, right? There's some type of framework,
Okay.
which is why we wanted the form in the first place, so people weren't just coming in.
Oh, no, that's very true. I mean, to have.
But to have the
is
record
huge.
that
Right.
was actually
Right.
used.
yeah, we should have the record because we signed them.
Right, right. So do you still wanna put it in both boxes then?
I mean, you could just give, I don't know, I don't know what does the spreadsheet do? I guess it helps you see.
Which was, we
Ah,
got
I-
all 7 for.
Okay, so the spreadsheet shows the book, it would show the book, all of the trustees, and then like what their decision is, like, and how it kind of looks, is like what the decision, like,
Well, shouldn't it just
Like,
like
no
check off that
change.
you have the form, like, I don't know, like.
I think we should just say
decision-
whether the form is done.
Yeah,
Because then when that's all done, the process is gonna be, hey, all 7 of us read this book. Does anything need to be done about it? Discussion. And then vote. Do we leave it the way it is? Does it have to move?
yeah, and it might be easier and quicker to be able to just do a check, I have the paper, like, you're not.
It
oh,
might be easier for
okay.
you.
So let me tell you how detailed I was from the form. No, I'm just saying, okay, so I did a lot of work on this, just to make sure that we're fully, again, transparent. So each one, like, there was books listed, okay, so this page, like, with page numbers, it's just like, so this page has this, and there was like, okay, so here, or it was like, no change, no sexually explicit material, no this, no this, no this.
I don't.
For each person, so, okay.
Just to check,
Make it
I
easier.
think we have.
Yeah, that'd be easy. Yeah, 'cause we're gonna
Oh,
discuss it here.
thanks, okay.
Like, people, like I'm just saying, like, if I'm questioning something, and we come here, and people talk about it. I might make a final decision after everybody says their, you know what I mean, says their opinion, because
So
I'm
just-
thinking about
Right,
thinking about it. I mean,
okay,
right now, I think it's pretty easy, the ones that I read, but, I know it's way easy.
Can I ask a question?
yeah,
What is actually going into the packet? The
Yeah,
form?
I don't know.
So
For the
for
next, for the next.
for the agenda, it would just be, because this will be a standing agenda item
you're right,
indefinitely. Discussion of book title, book title, book title. And then the next
right.
list.
Because there may not be this many, you know what I mean? It's just like, let's hope by December we can get through the first list, you know? So whatever everybody's had a chance to read, that's what I would give to you for the agenda.
And then in committee,
So then you really, if this is kind of like pre-work, so you have to be there to vote. It's not like you can turn it in.
no, there's gonna be a discussion. Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
Well, I was
Yeah.
curious.
It's an actual
Yeah.
vote.
Well, oh, very good.
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's not about that, but
Well, right.
I always assumed there would be a public
Right.
discussion and a roll call. vote.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
That's what I.
Public discussion on each book, roll call vote.
Well, I've seen
right.
people knock on meetings and then they can say I turned in the sheet. So like,
I mean, that's
It
fine, but
just
the
changed.
sheet is not the discussion vote, right?
Right.
The sheet is just to facilitate us getting the process done,
facilitate
in my
the
opinion.
discussion.
Yeah, and make sure that everybody's read the book.
So then we'll just do a carryover then, if like not all of the books are read.
Yeah.
As the minutes, it'll just
Well, then
kind of carry over to
Mhm.
that.
That's like,
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have our assignment, and
Right.
then if we get done, hopefully, we can discuss.
Right.
And the committee can look each month where we are and maybe
See what
add,
we're doing.
yeah.
And
Right,
maybe have a.
The other question,
right.
So long.
yeah,
so do I even need a copy? Should you give one to Bill and Janine and keep a copy to look at during the meeting and then?
Well, that's the thing too. So now that we're gonna do.
So are,
Because I turned it
Janine, are you gonna
on.
send
I
her
don't care
name to
then. If
Sarah?
it's not like the official document that is what you vote, I don't care. I
Right,
don't need it.
right.
And then I don't look at it and worry about it all month. I don't wanna know.
All right,
Well, good, because I only
Okay.
turned in one.
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, I don't know what I.
Can I have my back? Cause you have no, no. Well, cause I gave all yours to.
Yeah.
Just,
So
fine.
just-
That's okay.
I don't know what I thought it was, but I didn't do it.
I do want to say too, that I hadn't done the whole system before, and I didn't have a problem getting the books.
Yeah,
Right,
I actually got too many,
You
so
should've.
then I felt like I shouldn't have done as many, so I'm like, can I take this on hold? Because I can't read all these, and I want, you know, to make sure other people can get them, so that's the experience I had with getting them. I don't know if anyone else had a problem.
I haven't had a problem yet.
Yeah,
right. And they came from other libraries as well.
can we back up? So we're gonna give the forms to you, Janine? Is that what I'm hearing?
Did you want to give them to Sarah as well?
If Sarah doesn't want them, then that's
well,
fine. I
if
just,
they're not,
I like,
if they're not your vote and you can change it in the meeting, then what does it matter?
just give it to, yeah.
I put it in Bill's mailbox, is what I did.
Right.
I
And that's
don't,
what we asked to do is to put them in bills.
Right, like-
But if you're doing the
But if I'm
tally,
doing the tailing and.
I thought of it as an official document that meant you're gonna vote this way.
I really thought of it as the official document that we have signed, that we read the book.
Right, that's how I said, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is
Right.
getting like loose abuse here, so I don't know. Maybe the first time give them to me and then I'll decide. Cause I mean, some of you did.
Yeah, and maybe we just scan, like, Janine's copies. I like the idea of having a record where somebody has signed and say,
Right,
I read this book.
Right.
Yeah, it said I read it completely, and all that stuff that's up in there.
But it doesn't necessarily, like, I mean, that's just for document.
Right, and-
purposes.
if we can just put them in a big notebook, you know what I mean? So here you go, anybody can look, you know what I mean? It's just like, here, we can keep them here at the library. If you need, or, do you want a copy still? So are we back to doing 2 copies or just?
Maybe for the first one. I can check.
Okay.
But I
Okay,
think that's a question, I see it.
okay.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so for the November books, we'll call them, what have you. For the ones that you need to keep reading or what have you, just go ahead, fill out the forms and put those in Bill, put one copy in Bill's box, put the other copy in Darlene's, yes. Okay.
And do
Okay,
you like this idea? Do you still wanna do it this way? Because Bill came in yesterday and was looking for the cart.
Well, we can't do the card.
well,
I know, but I'm saying.
okay, the other
maybe
idea,
something to help.
Okay, so the other idea that was presented to you, because it's just like there was what, over 500 checked out just from us?
One
Or within the
a day.
community? From all of us? For just the
It wasn't
board?
just us, yeah, that's just right.
Right, okay, because everyone's wanting to check.
Some other
Right,
libraries,
which
so
is-
people are just interested, wanna know what they.
Right. Something that had came up and it was presented at the special meeting was to have a book, book card set aside. I had volunteered even at that meeting to check them out to me, because there was books can't leave, and then there could be a sign up sheet. There can be a sign up sheet on there. Everyone that takes it, you sign it up, you fill out the form, put your form in the boxes. Put the book back, sign the book back in, if you wanted a card behind circulation desk. They're all checked out to me, I'm fine, I don't
But I
picture
prefer it
everyone.
not to be behind the desk.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
Because the staff is super stressed out about this, so I want it to be
Right,
less
and then-
staff involvement. So
Right.
I want, the blue bins seem to work,
Okay,
so we will bend one rule, which is putting them in the bin but checked out.
okay,
And that way, and we'll extend it to 30 days,
okay.
and they will not have to interact as much, no be fine. They won't be looking for them, and they won't send them back after 7 days, and then they won't be calling you and asking you where your books are and things like that. Because if they come from another library and you can't find them after 7 days, they lose their minds, because that is their job. And they're good at those, so it's not a problem,
Right.
right? But I think the staff came up with that, and I think that will work. So we'll try it, and we'll find out what's wrong with it this time.
So the books are gonna be where I was originally getting back.
In that blue bin at the bottom, just under Jimmy's.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
But if, that means that you guys can share them among yourselves if you want to, but that they're her responsibility. And that way, you can take them home if you say you should.
right.
You don't have. But
You could all take them home, but the idea within the blue bin, so what I'm gonna do is put like a little, hey, I took this book or whatever, you know what I mean?
Is there a sign up sheet? Sorry,
I will have a sign out sheet there.
because
I'm fine, if,
it just is for us, some.
it's just for us that I
Right,
take
but it'll
out.
be, you need to make sure this will be easier for the staff then, Sarah?
Yes. it's-
Yes, they came up with that, because then it won't be, they have to sign anything, it won't be behind the desk.
Okay.
And if
Does
it's
it
signed
take
out,
them out of circulation though? From
well,
public
it
coming in?
checks them out to a person.
It checks them out.
First, because they're on hold for you.
Yes.
They're, no,
Check
they're
it
gonna
out.
check out.
Check it out.
Yeah, check out.
And
Yeah.
if you're willing to check them out to yourself, do that, it'll just be easy. And that will solve a bunch of problems. They came up with that, that'll be a good solution.
Okay, so for the November book, since a fair amount of people have already read a lot of them, more than half of the books, are we okay with just the November books for everyone just to check out what you still haven't read yet under your own name? Is that fair? Then starting in December, we'll have a chart, you know what I mean, in that, is that okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Just check.
Just for the November, and then starting in December, check out the ones, because it's just like, I know a lot of them, and myself rifled through Kim's, and I said, you know what I mean, through, just and got through the children's books. So it's like, so for the November books per se, if you could just check those out, and then we'll start for committee to see, okay, so kind of like, it has to be like a fluid adjustment, we're all learning with this as well. And then it'd be like, okay, so should it be, then let's get through graphic novel, team graphic novels, those could go pretty quick, you know what I mean, from going from there, then another, so whatever committee decides for the next chunk of books, does that help? Because we'll be meeting in December as well, so if we're gonna decide in December, then it'd be like, okay, here's the next books that we can put on hold to read for the January. Does that make sense? All right, perfect. Okay, any other discussion on this? Is everyone good with the process in that too? Okay, so hopefully, public, by our December meeting, we will be hopefully discussing 20 books. Okay? It'll be a lot, but it might go pretty quick though, and just might. And then another suggestion as well from Bill was, another suggestion was to maybe, if there's so many and the meetings are going, well, here we are, we're still not even, then maybe we have a special meeting or something just to discuss the books too. So That's always a possibility, like maybe every other month or something, then you get, maybe then we could get through 40 books or what have you. So it's, again, an adjustment type of thing. Okay. All right, comments from the board.
Thank you for working on that, Jen.
Oh,
You made it harder. But thank you for doing it. And thank you to the staff for trying to visit books for us.
yes, and thank you for the staff, and
We're sorry it was chaotic.
it was never the intent to make the staff do more work for that too.
We
And
take
that's,
it very seriously,
Right.
which is why
Right.
people get books, right?
Right,
So it's,
right,
the whole thing's built on rules and trust, and so
Mhm.
when we change those rules, they don't do well, and they shouldn't, so
Mhm.
I view it as good.
Good.
So, I mean, I can't fault them for buying it, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, I just want to give a big shout out. There's Vintage Christmas is coming up here.
Yeah.
Kids can see Santa and Mrs. Claus.
Next weekend, huh?
Not this weekend, next weekend after Thanksgiving. Lots of stuff going on in the village. It should be fun. Chicken wing eating kind or chicken, who has the best chicken. All kinds of great things. The music hall will be open. Come on out and support us. I also just want to say yay for the positive presentation that we had for this lawn. It was outstanding, and I'm very excited to be part of this whole new area. Those are my comments, so.
I'm super excited.
Yes. Any other? Okay, moving right along. Thought of public. When addressing the board, please address the board as a whole, not individual. Keep in mind that libel and slander are not protected under the US First Amendment because they are forms of defamation and legal action can be taken. Okay? Does anybody have any more? Okay. Shauna from Brighton Township. If you could please state your last name as well when you're up at the.
I'm Shauna Brito. Good evening. I'm here to express deep concern about the board's consideration of Alliance Defending Freedom as legal counsel. ADF is a Christian legal group advancing religious liberty, the Christian Nationalist Project 2025 agenda, and opposing LGBTQ rights. The Southern Poverty Law Center and Global Project Against Hate and Extremism has classified ADF as an anti-LGBTQ hate group for supporting laws that criminalize, imprison, and sterilize transgenders. ADF also represents Moms for Liberty, known for book bans and anti-inclusion campaigns. It is incompatible with the library's mission of inclusion and intellectual freedom to be represented by a group defending censorship, exclusion, and intolerance. ADF serves on the advisory board of Project 2025, which has accused librarians of peddling pornography, seeks to eliminate federal library funding, and even proposes criminalizing librarians, publishers, and educators. ADF's nomination raises a clear conflict of interest and is completely inappropriate for a secular, nonpartisan public library. Michigan libraries rely on respected firms like Foster, Swift, Collins, and Smith, Mika Myers, and Bloom Sluggett with deep expertise in municipal and library law. Choosing ADF because they offer free services is unacceptable and highly questionable. Taxpayers fund this library well enough to afford representation from a reputable Michigan firm. The director's recommendations have gone ignored, and I see no evidence of evaluation criteria or due diligence. However, today it sounds like the personnel committee is moving in the right direction. The board must be transparent about why it would abandon Foster Swift, a firm known for integrity and library law expertise, for a controversial out-of-state interest group advancing political and religious agendas against library staff and the gay community. ADF lacks specialization in Michigan library law, FOIA, the Open Meetings Act, and municipal governance. They do not align with the ALA Code of Ethics, and their strategies
increased risks of First Amendment lawsuits and Establishment Clause violations.
30 seconds to go.
Choosing ADF will invite scrutiny from watchdog agencies and put the library's reputation, legal standing, and financial integrity at risk. Your ethical duty as a board is to serve the library's mission and the entire district, not special interest groups or personal, political, and religious agendas. I strongly urge the board to trust the director's legal recommendations and eliminate ADF from consideration. Thank you.
Erin McKenna from Brighton.
My name is Erin McKenna, and I'm gonna be reading a few things. Marisol. Marisol had committed suicide. Marisol, the president of a Pride Alliance, died October 27th. The 22-year-old was a senior at, I'm gonna butcher it, Kennesaw, I think, State University, studying history education. She helped lead the opening of the KPA Pride Center after the university shuttered the LGBTQI Resources Center due to DEI cuts earlier this year. Lila Smith died by suicide. She was a student who had left the women's swimming and diving team at Middlebury College, citing the pressure and isolation she felt as a trans athlete. Friends said to call her death merely a suicide misses the larger truth. No suicide happens in a vacuum. Policies designed to make life unlivable for transgender people bear responsibility too. Every trans suicide is a murder by those in power. Tiara Love Torrey. Tiara was originally from Saginaw, Michigan. This list of names, by the way, are all Michigan deaths of transgender. Tiara was originally from Saginaw, Michigan. She relocated to Charlotte, North Carolina in 2021. In the past year, she worked in the healthcare industry at Novant Health Medical Center. Tiara attended Arthur Hill High School in Delta College. Tiara's feeds are filled with music, dancing, and lots of humor and satire. She was a regular participant in Kiki Balls with a lot of trophies and seems to have had a larger number of ballroom family both in Michigan and North Carolina. Tiara was involved with her local Black Pride's event. Scarlett, also by suicide. Her name was Scarlett. She was 21. I'm grieved and accepted that she has moved on, but Scarlett had such a loving and caring soul. She was the most caring and nice person I knew, and she was also alone in this world. Reports indicate, I don't know where, you just have 30 seconds, so I'll go ahead and stop there since it ends there.
Elaine from Howell, and if you could give your last name as well.
That's okay. Just. Last name flat. Reports indicate Valley Mason called 911 from the gas station to claim he was armed and planning violence against the establishment and responding officers. Despite the alert that the team wanted to shoot officers, the police discovered posthumously that the team was unarmed.
The day before Charlie Kirk was killed, a 19-year-old trans girl named Lilia Holland disappeared after tweeting out her suicide note. The day before Charlie Kirk, her phone and shoes were found on the St. John's Bridge in Portland, where a 17-year-old trans girl named Charlotte Foskey had ended her life earlier this year. Charlotte's suicide was most widely known for being spread around as a transphobic right-wing meme. Blake Sturm, a vibrant member of the LGBTQ plus community, whose body was discovered outside his home earlier this week. Blake, 25, had been reported missing on August 30th and was found deceased on Tuesday, September 2nd. Police have stated that the death does not appear suspicious, though an investigation remains ongoing. Lynn was a caring and loving person, and having her gone has made every day without her feel as if something is always missing now. Lynn lived in Arizona with her grandparents, who she was not open to, but often voiced their disapproval of the trans community. Robin James Post, his close friend, which nicknamed him Buzz, were very important to him. Throughout life, Robin enjoyed art culture, especially Dia de los Muertos, working out at the gym, productive yard work, traveling, studying keyboard and drums, and living life to the fullest. Casey was open about her struggle with depression. She professed herself a woman of faith. As recently as August 2023, she had her pick of 3 job offers, including one she genuinely wanted. It also appeared she was a talented and highly sought after hairstylist. Friends remember Onyx as an inspiration and a light in everyone's life. Onyx cared deeply for others, and they would drive around town with her for local unhoused folks and even help them rent hotels for the night. They were very creative, loved alternative and goth fashion and makeup, and used their online platform to educate others about progressive causes. Onyx was shot by their stepfather.
Mars Purchett from Hartland.
I'm not going to read, the stories and the suicides of the LGBTQ people. I got an email today from my transgendered cousin, and it is the annual anniversary where they count up how many people died that are from the transgendered community each year. And she was very upset, and I knew that I was planning to come, and I was here when you discussed about the books at the special meeting. About 2 weeks ago or whatever. And I do think after listening to all this discussion of how you're going to read books and make decisions about what can be in our libraries. And we used to live in a free country where you could go to the library, get your card. If your parents didn't want you to read something and you weren't old enough to get it yourself, then you brought it home and your parents would do something and maybe they would explain it. But we're spending a lot of time, money, and energy when we should be helping people. We should be accepting people, not judging them. Thank you for listening.
There could be multiple people with the same name, I don't know. Karen from Hartland, I don't have a last name. You can state your last name, please.
Greg.
before I start reading, I have a transgender nephew who started transitioning about 2 years ago. Before Freddie started transitioning, Freddie was quiet, sullen, kind, very intelligent, but just didn't participate in life. Now that Freddie is transitioned, Freddie's happy. Freddie smiles. Freddie is himself. And for other people to judge what Freddie should do is not right. And all you're doing is putting a target on the back of these people and calling them degenerate and terrible beings. They're just humans like all of us. And none of us have the right to judge other people. And parents are the ones who should be making the decision on what their children are reading, not board members. None of you board members have a library science degree, am I correct? So what you're putting in is just your opinion. And your opinion isn't any different than mine. So please think about, before you start labeling and putting targets on these people, what you're doing to them mentally. Blair Sawyer was riding her bike when she was hit by a moving car, then fell off her bike with fatal injuries. Rosa Macha was found dead in a parking lot in Austin, Texas, after a shooting at a local Target where she reportedly worked. She was just 24. Faith, Rosa's co-worker at Target, said that Rosa was always so helpful and kind with everyone at work. Rosa attended UT Austin and aspired to be a journalist. Sadly, Rosa was misgendered after her passing due to recent changes in Texas law. Dream was dearly loved by her family. Her mother, Iris, said that my baby's life mattered to me and to everyone. If she wasn't loved by the world, she was loved by us and accepted for who she was. Vanna, Dream's aunt, encouraged others to stay true to yourself and embrace who you are, just like Dream did. Artie had recently moved to Portland with his fiance in search of a safer political environment for trans people. They both use he and they pronouns. We want to recognize Nathaniel Babon Cruez for his work during his years of collaboration and conspiracy with LSC and Justa Amistad. His contributions were invaluable and his perspectives were always precious to our team. His passing is deeply felt and we embrace all those who knew him and were close to him. We want to honor his memory. Today is Transgender Remembrance Day, by the way.
Kate Nazar from Hartland.
Corma's mother described her as very loved, an animal lover who could make anyone laugh, someone with a big heart, and a life cut far too short. Healy, shy but sweet. Healy was known for her warmth, her intellect, and her desire to connect with others. She was a friend to many. Gabriella Nugent was an agender lesbian college student who loved speech and debate. They planned to become a speech and debate coach post pursuing a graduate degree in communications. Gabriella also loved anything pink, Luna, cooking, authentic Vietnamese food, and a knack for writing. Lily Dawn Harkin. She was a transgender woman who recently graduated with her degree in a supply chain management, recognized as a genius for her IQ of over 140. She loved Magic the Gathering, cooking, and burning food for her loved ones, volunteering for local organizations and giving back to others in any way she could. Christina Hayes, 28, from Taylor, was found dead behind a laundromat
in the 17600 block of Woodward Avenue on June 21st, 2025 at around 3 p.m. with injuries to her face and neck. This case represents a continuing pattern of vicious attacks and murders on trans women of color. Every single citizen of Wayne County has the right to lead their lives and be safe. We will bring the alleged murderer of Christine Hayes to justice, said Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy. JJ was very popular in the regional LGBT community, supporting causes and local businesses, as well as standing with victims of the Pulse nightclub shooting and supporting transgender rights. JJ was considered an excellent makeup artist, was named to the homecoming court in high school, and may have been in the band. Emma was the sweetest girl I've ever met, and that's all I ever knew her as. Her energy lit up a room she entered. You could tell her anything and she would listen to you without judgment. It's a shame this world and the people in it treated her the way they did. Laura was shot down in the street from her home. Laura loved animals as well as in the LGBT community and had attended a friend's birthday party the night before she was killed. Her loss comes as a huge shock to those who knew her. Hope Lyrica, she was an avid record collector, talented visual artist, and written an absolute shredded on guitar, a cigar connoisseur, and a proud trans woman.
Hi.
Chris of Howell, I do not have a last name.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the?
My name is Chris Kay. I'm a patron of this library and I'm a mother of 5 children, most of whom I have adopted from foster care. They identify as cisgender, gay, bisexual, and queer. One of my children even identifies as Muslim and wears a hijab. So needless to say, my family is diverse, complicated, beautiful, and like every family, worthy of representation. That is one of the reasons I'm here today. When people challenge library books, especially those with LGBTQ themes, the intent is often to protect children. But the truth is that book challenges rarely protect anybody. Instead, they erase or hide the stories that help young people understand themselves and the world around them. Stories my children desperately needed when they were navigating trauma, identity, and belonging. Even the Bible warns against this kind of control. In Proverbs 18:13, we are reminded to answer before listening. This is folly and shame. When we challenge or label and hide a book simply because it makes us uncomfortable, we answer before listening. We shut a conversation down before we ever allow it to be heard. And in John 8:32, scripture tells us, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Truth cannot set anyone free if we put it on a banned book list or give it a label and hide it in the adult and parenting section. Some say LGBTQ books must be removed or especially labeled because they can contain sexual themes or can be sexually explicit, but if labeling or banning were truly the standard, then we would have to apply that rule consistently, and we don't. The Bible itself contains passages that involve sexuality, violence, and complex moral situations. Yet we understand that these texts remain important because they teach, challenge, and illuminate human experience. Since you've begun reading books to decide which ones need labels, as you do not trust the trained library staff, what happens when new books are read? Will those have to be read and labeled too? If other concerned patrons submit a request for more books to be labeled, such as the Bible, the Heartstopper series, or the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which is a really good book, will those be read and held to the same labeling standards? How many books will you have to read a month to keep up? As a mother of children who span multiple identities, and as someone raising children who deserve to see their realities reflected in the world, I am asking us to choose a future defined not by fear or ideas, but by confidence in our ability as parents and our children's ability to think, discern, and grow. Thank you.
Amber from Hartland, again, I don't have a last name.
I'm here.
If you could tell us your last name, please.
I prefer not to share it. I'm here because protecting our fundamental freedoms is not just a constitutional principle, it's our civic duty. Protecting the First Amendment is a value that transcends politics. It's a value a public library is meant to safeguard. The board's suggestion to involve Alliance Defending Freedom, or the firm proposed at the last meeting, Ricard et al., is deeply concerning. According to their own website, the firm describes its work as advising and assisting individuals, churches, and other religious institutions in defending and taking advantage of their religious freedom under federal and state law. That mission is explicit. It's not compatible with the obligation of a public library to remain neutral, inclusive, and accountable to all patrons. Legal counsel for this board should support neutrality, not promote a specific religious or ideological agenda. The community deserves a transparent, clear answer. I'm asking directly for an explanation of why these particular ideological firms were proposed. I also want to address the recent special meeting to discuss book challenges. The board president called that meeting yet did not attend. Again, the community is owed transparency. I'm requesting a direct explanation for why that meeting was called in his absence and what purpose the timing served. When leadership calls a meeting on a sensitive topic and then does not appear, it creates the impression of directing the outcome without accepting responsibility for it. Whether intended or not, it undermines trust and contradicts the duty of the board to be present, transparent, and accountable to the public. As you re-review LGBTQ themed books for possible restriction, I urge you to consider the precedent being set. Once the board establishes that it may censor or limit access based on disagreement with identities or viewpoints represented, that authority does not stay narrow. Today, it may be LGBTQ materials. Tomorrow, it may be political ideas, historical interpretations, or even religious texts that some find objectionable. This is not a theoretical concern. History shows that censorship, once allowed, expands. Public libraries are not just buildings with books.
30 seconds remain.
They are one of the few civic institutions specifically designed to protect intellectual freedom and ensure equal access to ideas. I'm asking the board to do its job to protect that. When neutrality is compromised, the entire community loses something essential. I would ask you to consider if you are serving the public with this review. If anyone in the audience feels comfortable, please raise your hand if you oppose book censorship.
Time.
Here again, Kurt from Brighton Township.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Kevin here, and I live about a mile away, and this is my local library. And thank you all for allowing me to speak here. I'm a scout with troop. I'm a scout, obviously. I'm in this uniform, and I'm with troop 350, and I'm doing this for Eagle Rank and other things. I have also personal passion and respect for the person mentioned. And also, this is my first time speaking out of work. Also, so yes, the point of the library is to serve the whole community and to have books that represent the community, and books that include human sexuality are not appropriate because human sexuality is part of being human. And likewise, books that reference people who were LGBTQ are not inappropriate. They're also part of being human and being in the community with other humans. And parents here have the right to guide what their own kids read. And also Bill Bolin did actually propose to like monitor teens in the teen section. That isn't okay. That surveillance is like convincing before if you read that book. And one group does not have the right to top down police the information that other people receive, and or even make it more difficult, difficult to access, because that sectarian and libraries should not ever be sectarian. They should be just free information for everyone. That's what they're for. And and everyone can have viewpoints that are viewed as liberal and conservative because the right belongs to the individual to make their own choices and form their own beliefs. And because we have books that also talk about people who are not LGBTQ and bisexualities, like straight people and people who are cisgender. We can also it's also only fair to include people who are. And
30 seconds remaining.
okay. And yeah, so I do hope I do hope all of you are able to read all the Jones books because that's your freedom to do so and to choose and to choose whether to have your kind of wisdom. And libraries should be the places of freedom. And by the way, this issue is very important to me also because I am actually non-binary. And yeah. So
Aaron from Hartland, I don't have a last name.
I want to pause the Transgender Day of remembrance for a moment to point out, your policy, 8014. And the second paragraph says board members should not anticipate or expect, put these on. I expect that exceptions from library procedures and policies would be made for the use of meeting rooms, circulation of materials, or the use of library equipment. I believe by allowing trustee Janine Esky to check out materials and books for other trustees to read violates the spirits of policy 8014, which you just all agreed to leave as is in the very least. Just food for thought. Moving on, JJ. Okay, now back to the day of transgender remembrance. Jackson's body was found just under 2 months after she had gone missing on the 15th of April. Her death is considered suspicious, but a coroner was unable to determine her cause of death. Grattan's mother wrote in the post on Facebook, "There are no words strong enough for the grief we are feeling. The light she carried, the love she gave so freely, and the joy she brought into our lives have been taken from her world far too soon." Her name was Tessa June. She died on June 4th, 2025. We don't hold any harsh judgments of her for what happened. I feel like she wasn't even herself in the moment. Her father and I take solace in knowing that she felt safe and supported here at home to be her true self, and there are still so many should have, could have thoughts that will plague our minds from now on, I'm afraid. We miss her like hell, and I don't think I'll ever be the same without her. The husband of Jonathan Joss, the King of the Hill actor, fatally shot by a neighbor in San Antonio, thanked Joss for saving his life in the Sunday altercation. He explained that the actor, whom he had just married on Valentine's Day, pushed him out of the line of fire at the site of their former home, which had burned down following repeated threats. He also explained that during the 2 years he and Joss had lived at the site, that people in the area repeatedly told us they had set it on fire. We reported these threats to law enforcement multiple times, nothing was done. He added that they were harassed regularly by individuals who made it clear they did not accept our relationship. Charlotte was a vibrant, creative teenager navigating life as a transgender girl in a world that too often failed to show her kindness she so deeply deserved. She was last seen on the evening of May 1st and reported missing soon after. Her final public messages, posted the next morning, offered a heartbreaking farewell from the High Bridge. An image that now haunts everyone who knew and cared for her. Charlotte's tweets, which quietly said goodbye. It's a pretty view and long way down were viewed millions of times in the hours after her death. But what should have been a space for grief and remembrance became a mirror of society's cruelty. The response from parts of the internet were callous, transphobic, and dehumanizing, a tragedy in its own right.
Agenda items for next meeting. Yes, perfect. Oh, okay. Thank you. Agenda items for next meeting, the report of director's evaluation, resolution regarding healthcare warranty. Review policies 6004, 6007, 6015. And then dates.
If we just check the dates.
Check the dates.
I wanted to check. Does anyone know if they need to miss any to the holidays next month? You should have regular meetings, September 4th for personnel. Tuesday, the 9th for finance, and Wednesday, the 10th for community relations. The full board is the 18th. I did check with Bill, he said we could be at those.
And I need to talk to Kyle and stuff.
Yeah, most of that. Not even holiday.
Like be flexible.
Well, as long as we have two, yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion to move to adjourn?
Motion made to adjourn.
Motion by Becky, second by Kim. Meeting adjourned at 9:30. To wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy.
Good job.